Hey, this is Sara Raymond. I'm the founder of the Mindful Movement. And if you are looking to be in better health or learn more about biohacking practices, then you should be listening to The Hacked Life with my good friend, Joel Evan.
All right, I'm here with Sara Raymond. She's a yoga and Pilates instructor, hypnotherapist, and the co-founder of the Mindful Movement, where she actually teaches people and how to tap into their inner peace, positive mindset, and really the ability for self-healing. Sara, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Joel. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, for nobody knows this, but I'm gonna just tell them this will be our second conversation since sometimes there's snafus when we do podcasts and we had some technical errors, so we're doing it again. It's gonna even be better.
Yes, these things happen with a world of technology for sure. So I'm glad to have the second opportunity.
Yeah. So I'm super excited to have you. For people that don't know, you have an amazing, just community. You have a really, close knit community on YouTube. You have like over 600,000 followers. You have a really bustling Facebook group and the Mindful Movement. So I'm really curious. So like, how did the Mindful Movement start? Like, what was going on in your life? Like, when was the day that you realized like I have to create this? I have to do this.
Well, I had been teaching movement for, at the time, I guess it had been probably about a decade, teaching Pilates and yoga and various forms of exercise, to individuals and to groups. And at the time, I feel like I ran out of tools, meaning like I had done all the trainings, I had learned all the different modalities, and I was still finding that there were people I was working with that weren't making the changes that they wanted. They weren't seeing themselves reach the goals that they were desiring. And so, my thought was like, well, how can I better serve these people? What tool can I use? And I think I had to kind of turn the lens around and look at myself and understand, how I needed to show up. And it made me realize that I didn't really know why I was doing what I was doing. Like no one really had ever asked me, why are you teaching Pilates? Why are you teaching yoga? Um, until that time in my life, and I'm like, oh, that's a good question. So I had to get to know myself a little bit better. I discovered meditation and mindfulness, which sounds a little bit backwards because I was a yoga teacher, so I should have known about meditation, and I did. I just was the I was the type of yoga teacher at the time that was like, I just want to do the exercises,
Yeah.
and that's what I needed out of it, and that's what I was getting out of it, and that's how I was teaching it. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh, there's something to this meditation thing. And I started to understand myself a little better, understand my values, what was important to me. Um, and then by understanding that for myself, I was able to then help others make more progress in their goals and in using mindset and using meditation in using your mind to make a change in your body, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes total sense.
Okay.
Especially as a practitioner myself and as a health coach, I'm reading a book right now called The Emotion Code, and there's several
Mm,
books out there like The Emotion Code, The Body Keeps the Score, and we know like, hey, these emotions, these beliefs, like they can be trapped and locked in us and prevent us from either being at peak health or not just peak health, but just mentally or emotionally or you see a lot of people with diseases and stuff that it's these emotions and beliefs can really be limiting them from their highest selves. And when you remove those blockages, wow, now you uncover their true potential, right? So yeah, it makes total
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
I love what you said though too. It's like you had to go through the journey yourself to get your clients to move through that. So I'm curious because I have a similar story where I felt like I was reaching a point where I was getting all these certifications and doing all these cool things, but I just felt unfulfilled. I'm like, who cares? All this knowledge, and I'm not doing anything with it. Like, I'm not even impacting the people that are closest to me. You know, my mom got breast cancer. My mother-in-law had thyroid
Mm,
issues. I'm like, how is this possible that I know all this stuff, but I can't even help and reach the people that I know and love? Like, that's just a shame. So
yeah.
I know for me, I felt like I was driven. I had to do something, and I wanted to share it with the world. Was there anything for you too, where you were just like, I, I have to share that. Like, I can't just learn all this stuff. And or were you seeing just or was there something for you, like a moment where you were, I got to do something. I got to make a change. Like,
I think when I started teaching other teachers, like I was doing a Pilates teacher training for, um, dozens of instructors in training. And when I was starting to see the same patterns that I experienced, like the insecurities, the lack of confidence, the imposter syndrome, when I started seeing those in other people and recognizing that, like, okay, my journey wasn't so unique. I mean, we all want to think that our own
yeah,
experience is unique to ourselves, and in some ways it is, yes, but in some ways we all have to start from the beginning. And in the case of these Pilates instructors, I was witnessing their lack of confidence and resonating with it. And so I had to look back and say, okay, well, how did I get from that like new instructor that felt insecure and not confident to now being able to confidently teach other instructors how to do what I do? And I think that that was kind of the moment where I realized that it's not about the technical training. It's not
hmm
about all those different modalities that we have, all the different tools in our tool belt. It's really about our authenticity and our belief in ourselves that allows for our ability to help other people.
hmm
And that's really where that's when the YouTube channel started. I created these recordings to give to the instructors that I was working with. And there were like a dozen people that I was like, "Oh, here's a link to this video I created so that you could listen to this meditation or hypnosis practice." And that's really all my intention was in the very beginning.
yeah,
So I didn't anticipate or have any desire to get to like where we are now at 600,000 subscribers. Like that seems insane to me in a way.
yeah,
But somehow, the YouTube gods, if you will, they put my video in front of other people that wanted to have these practices. And so I saw the analytics saying, "Oh, all these people are watching your video," and I'm like, that's bizarre. I wonder how that's working. And then I had to figure out YouTube, of course.
yeah. And then it's like, okay, great, that's working. Do more of that.
Yeah,
You know, you're
yeah,
having all this impact. You're having a lot of this impact just with your own community. YouTube's liking it. Now let's just do more of it. Let's just spread
yeah,
more joy, more love, more knowledge. That's awesome.
yeah.
Were there any steps for you specifically for things that you were working through in your own life? Were there any like steps that got you where any like real big ones that like stick out to you that really got you to where you are now for you to move through, like you said, things like imposter syndrome
Mm.
and you maybe your own limiting beliefs, you know?
Well, as I mentioned, the first time I had a mentor that asked me to understand why I was doing what I was doing, what my intention was, that I think was the number one catalyst for me to start down this road. And then I would say there's a book that I read very early on in my kind of journey of understanding myself. It's called Emotional Chaos to Clarity by Philip Moffitt. And I've read it quite a few times. The actual copy of the book is very tattered and underlined and
I love
highlighted,
that.
but it's a very simple book that asks you to take actionable steps to understand yourself, like to look inward and to have awareness and to give yourself permission to like start over if you get off track. It gives you tools and strategies to live in a way that's in alignment with your goals, or not goals, but more intentions and your values
Hmm.
and how you want to show up in the world. And I found that book very valuable for me, like early on in my journey. So both of those things I think were big catalysts, big turning points for me.
Yeah. No, I love that. Um, I'm curious too. You talk a lot about mindset, subconscious beliefs.
Hmm. Hmm.
Why? Why in your practice is that important to you? And why do you make it just such a huge emphasis?
I think if we don't have awareness of our beliefs, they will continue to unconsciously drive our behaviors. And then when we want to make a change and we try to use our willpower to make a change, make a habit change, for example, um, we will be exhausted.
Mm,
Our willpower, like a muscle, will fatigue. And when that happens, those unconscious beliefs will just take over and get you right back to where you started, right? Like diet, for example, is a really easy one to understand. I know that if I eat sugar, I don't feel good. I have
right.
inflammation, I gain weight, all the things, but I really like sugar
Yeah.
because it's a drug, right?
Yeah.
I'm addicted to it.
Makes me feel good. Yeah.
So, exactly. So, I know logically that I shouldn't eat sugar, so that if I want to lose weight, or if I want to feel better, or if I want my, inflammation to go down, I shouldn't eat sugar. And I know that logically. And so I can set off to have a diet and lifestyle where I don't have any sugar. And for a while, I might do really well with that. And I might have the willpower to, you know, not pick up the cupcakes at the grocery store, or you know, my kids' Halloween candy, or whatever temptation. I might be okay with those temptations for a little while. But then eventually, I might have a lack of willpower. Like it's going to fatigue, it's going to give up, and then those driving beliefs will take over. And I go to the grocery store and I walk past the cupcakes on my way to the checkout, and I'm like, those look good. I could probably eat those in my car before I get home, so no one will ever know.
Hmm.
And then I'm back to square one, and I'm like, oh well, I fell off the wagon, so might as well eat all the other sugar. Does
Would
that
you
make
say,
sense?
yeah, no, I love that. Would you say that that is like, and because you emphasize it so much, would you say like that is one of like the most common mistakes then that you see with all your clients and the people that you coach and that come through your programs? Would that be it, or is there something else that stands out? I'm just curious.
Are you asking if the mistake of lack of awareness of your beliefs?
Yeah, or maybe just not even um, because I find it in my own coaching stuff. What you just said is super important, and I think a lot of people try to deny, mindset and beliefs and
Mm.
values, and they just want to like, yeah, just give me the hacks, Joel. Just give me the exercise, nutrition advice, and let's go. And I'm like, no, 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 no. There's so much more we're gonna unpack here. So I'm just like
Yeah.
I was just wondering if that and I think, especially you being a mindfulness teacher, when I started really getting into mindfulness, I realized just how unaware I was. Here I am thinking like I'm a pretty like self-growth guy. I'm a really, growth mindset, goal-oriented, doing all these things. But when I really started going through my life coach certification and diving into presence and what you're talking about, awareness and beliefs, I'm like, oh my God, like I am so not present. I I am not present with my kids, and when I really started to like have that awareness for myself, I started to notice how unaware everyone else was around me. And so yeah, I'm just curious, is that like the biggest thing that you see too, or is there maybe something else?
Yeah, I think that is a really big factor for sure. I don't know that it's the number one thing for everyone, for every specific topic. But I do think that as a culture, at least speaking like in the United States, as a culture, we are taught to always want more, whether
Mm,
it's things or success or like love or, we always want more. We have this drive to be better, to want more. And we are also taught to like push down our emotions. Like,
mm,
right, we want the easiest way to get that more, right? Like we're a culture of what pill can I take to fix that problem, as opposed to, well, what got me to where I am today? And if I want to make a change, if I want to be somewhere different than I am right now, I have to look back at what I did and see how I might adjust, how what work I need to do to for myself to make that change. And really the only way that we can understand what work we need to do is have awareness. It's kind of like this weird circle cycle thing
yeah.
that's going on that like like I take thyroid medication because I have low thyroid hormone, and it's like, well, I don't have low thyroid hormone because of a lack of this medication, right? And well, granted, I need to take it to make sure that my thyroid is working correctly, but the only way that I can correct that is to go back and look at, well, how did I get to this place where my thyroid's not working correctly? It's
Right.
not a lack of medication,
Yeah.
right? So just understanding is all about like awareness, right?
Okay, perfect. So, would you say someone okay, so what can people start doing right now if you were to just give somebody like one piece of advice? Subconscious beliefs. You just went into great detail
Mm,
about why they're so important.
mm.
What's like one thing people can start doing right now to just start reprogramming or start reprogramming some of those subconscious beliefs that are inhibiting them and limiting them?
Yeah. When you have a a difficult emotional reaction that just like it happens. Some people will call it a trigger, like you feel like you don't have control of that reaction. When that happens, that is a signal, it's an invitation, it's an opening to go into yourself to understand yourself better.
Mm,
And that might show up in a myriad of different ways, right? Like I just had this very long conversation or debate with my husband um,
oh, those are the
right
best.
before. Oh yeah, right at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
uh, so like I was getting very defensive about this conversation that we were having, and it's not the first time we've had the exact same conversation. Let me just tell you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So like I felt myself getting angry, getting defensive, getting like a rapid heart rate. And that is my opportunity to say, okay, what's going on here? Why am I reacting like this? Because I'm not really responding in a way that is truly aligned with how I want to have a relationship with my husband. It's a
Hmm.
reaction
Yeah.
and I don't have control over it. So that's my opportunity. That's my signal. That's my invitation to say, what's going on here? And for me, I've done enough looking inward to have a little bit of understanding. I definitely have more work to do in that realm, but I I felt like I was unheard or not
Mm,
being listened to, and I
yeah.
felt like I was not being seen in the way that I wanted to be seen. So I just reacted. I just got very defensive, and that's not to say that the end of the conversation went very well, but like I can go back and have a different conversation with him and say, well, this is what was happening for me. This is how I felt. This is, it was basically, I think, triggering like my 15-year-old self.
Yeah.
And it was my 15-year-old self that was reacting emotionally, not my 41-year-old self.
Yeah.
And and that's the invitation. Like that's the actionable step that I would recommend for people to take when they have that moment where they're like, what did I just do? What did I just say? Who is this person? Why am I reacting in a way that doesn't really feel aligned with what I want? That's the invitation to say, get curious with compassion, right? Like understand that
Yeah.
we're all human and it doesn't mean you're inherently a bad person. It just means that you, you kind of like you time traveled in a way. That was my 15-year-old self interacting with my husband. And how do I correct that? Or how do I understand myself better so that I can better communicate with him?
There you go. So even, 600,000 followers later on YouTube, yoga, Pilates, mindset coach, we're human and we still have the
Oh,
same
for
issues and we get
sure.
triggered just like everybody else. So,
Yeah. It's funny. I was thinking about this as I was getting ready for this call, and I was like remembering a younger version of me who, this is going to embarrass me a little bit, but I'm just going to put it out there. But I had this incident when I was, I don't know, I was probably like 6 or 7 or 8 in that range. And my family will tell you that this is true because they joke about it a lot. Um, but I remember getting upset, feeling unheard or unseen. And I literally came downstairs with a pillowcase over my head. And I sat on the steps and I was like, no one can see me because I have this pillowcase on my head. And obviously, that was my way of like actually getting attention,
right.
being seen. But like, that's how I felt when I was in this conversation with my husband. It was like, I went back in time and the pattern just keeps repeating itself, whether I was 8 or 15 or, today as the adult that I am, it'll just keep repeating itself until I figure out, how to heal that part of me in a way.
Yeah. So
But
this is
yeah,
what we're gonna
all
do.
human.
Our last podcast episode, we went Instagram live. So now, and by the way, Sarah didn't know how to go Instagram live. Now she does. So now, what I think would be great is you're gonna go Instagram live. You're gonna show the
Oh my
world, and
God.
then maybe you'll show us how you in real time rectify all these triggering emotions with your husband. We'll see how the conversation.
All
Maybe
right.
you know what you should do actually is I think what would be great to bring some levity to the whole situation is get a pillowcase, put on your head, and go talk to him. And that
Go
would
talk
just
to him. That's what I need to
that
do.
would totally break the ice. I mean, you can't help but laugh about that.
I don't know
Um,
about that.
one thing I'm really curious about is that you do hypnotherapy, and I find
Mhm.
that fascinating. And I haven't talked to a lot of people about hypnotherapy, and I understand some of the premise of how it works and stuff. But I'm just curious. You have a lot of courses that you do, and again, just a lot of people that you come in contact with and coach. What have you noticed about hypnotherapy, and why has it been such a really good modality that you've
Mm.
seen help with people and break through maybe just barriers?
That's a good question. I would say that the biggest um, barrier, well, maybe not the biggest, but a barrier of being able to see yourself more clearly is our conscious, logical, rational mind. Because I can tell you that you're good enough, you're a great coach, you have all the reason in the world to be confident, and you might even logically understand and believe that. But when you look inward in your heart or your gut, usually I think confidence is more like in your gut. Um, when you look inward, you're like, well, logically, I've done all the work to be this great coach. And I understand that I help people and I see them being helped. But when I like check in, I still have this feeling of lack of confidence or not enoughness. So the logical mind doesn't understand how to get into that emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
because it's a logical part of our mind. So when you go into a state of hypnosis, which by the way is basically the same state of your brain waves as meditation, for those of you,
Oh, wow.
those of the listeners who may have experienced meditation but not hypnosis, it's a relaxed state of your nervous system where you can more easily connect with your subconscious mind.
Mm,
So we've let the conscious part of our mind, the logical part, rest, if you will. It's not like we're getting rid of it. We're just kind of bypassing it in a way. It's resting. And
hmm.
then it allows you to tap into your subconscious mind where your emotions live and where your beliefs live. And then you can more clearly understand, okay, this is why I'm experiencing a lack of confidence. I, had an interaction with my parents, my mother, for example, and I felt like she was seeing or comparing me to a friend, and that
Hmm.
friend was better than me in my mom's eyes. So that meant I was not enough. I was not good enough. I don't deserve to have confidence. So when I can see that emotionally, not logically, I can say, well, that was me at 15, and that's not really actually true. And look at all of these things in my adult life that do prove that I am enough. So now that I'm an adult, I'm ready to say, that's not true. That's not even me anymore, right? We're all
Hmm.
different people than we were when we were 15.
I hope so.
So, yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I think inherently we have to be, right? Um, so I can say, all right, I'm ready to let go of the belief that I'm not enough because I have all this evidence that proves to me that it's not true. It's not me anymore. And therefore, when I go back to my logical mind, my emotional or subconscious mind is in agreement.
Mm.
And then I can actually live in a way that is in alignment with that belief because
Do
I've
you?
changed my emotions around it.
Yeah, yeah. That's so fascinating too because we were just talking about just beliefs, subconscious beliefs, why mindset and all this is so powerful, and then here you are giving a great explanation of the two, subconscious and conscious, and how hypnosis can really help move people through that in a
Yeah,
really rapid way. It sounds like.
exactly. Yeah, I think that our emotions will always win over our logic because it's our
Yeah.
like inherent nature, right? Our logic really wasn't fully formed until around 25.
Right.
And so we've spent first 25 years of our life in through the filter of our emotions. And so
Right.
they're always going to win. They're always going to drive our behaviors. So the only way to change the behavior itself is to change the emotion that's driving it.
Yeah, and you can only get that like what you said with the awareness or going deeper and
Right.
doing some practices like with you and doing hypnosis and doing having a coach or someone kind of move you through that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a
Wow.
lot of people can do practices on their own and get pretty far. I do think that there is some uh, protection mechanism that doesn't allow us to see ourselves as clearly as maybe an outside perspective might.
Yeah.
Um, so, like, if you do find yourself doing inner work to try to understand your emotions and your beliefs, and you get stuck, that's where having someone a professional to help you, whether it's a coach or a therapist or you know a hypnotherapist, whatever modality you choose, having someone help you through that kind of stuck spot can be very valuable.
Yeah. Wow. Great stuff.
Mhm.
I wanted to talk about you have a lot of amazing courses that you have. You have the Move and Meditate course, you have the Confidence course, the Anxiety course. Can you just kind of talk
Mm.
about those and really why you felt the need to create them. I mean, people only create courses when they're probably being asked either the same question over and over again. So I'm just
Mm.
curious how that came up for you.
Well, I do work with a lot of people one on one. And, usually someone comes in with a specific agenda. They have an issue they want to address, or they have a symptom that they would like to get rid of or change or release. And anxiety is, well, the three workshops that I have are anxiety, confidence, and healing, and those are the three most highly sought after topics that
Yeah.
people come to me for. um, so obviously I'm only one person. I can only work with as many people as I have time for. And working one on one, it's a 2 hour session, plus you get a personalized recording. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's cheap, and it may not be affordable for every single person.
Yeah.
But when I create a workshop, it's accessible for many more people, and they can go through the process on their own. It's not as personalized, but as I said, you can still get really good work when you are working on your own. So
Yeah.
the basic premise of one of the courses would be understanding the cause. Let's say we're doing anxiety, so you'd be understanding the cause of the anxiety. Like, what is that belief that you formed from your childhood that's leading you to have this symptom of anxiety? How is it serving you? Not that you're causing it yourself, but there is some utility, some purpose that this anxiety is providing. So
Hmm.
when you have those two understandings, then you have the choice to say, like I said before, that's not me anymore. That's not true. And therefore, I'm ready to let go of those beliefs. So recognizing, then letting go of the beliefs, or like unburdening those emotions. And then the last step would be to call in the emotions and the beliefs and the values and the life that you do want. So you can kind of take those steps on your own, whether it's through these courses or, through your own practice. Um, so I try to make these experiences as accessible to as many people as I can, and that's where those courses kind of came from.
Yeah, and I'm curious, I have an idea, but I'm just curious. Confidence. Like,
Mm.
why who cares, Sarah? Like, why do I need more confidence? Like, are men and women coming to you all the time and saying, "I just need more confidence in my life. I don't have it." I'm guessing they are because you created a whole course on it.
they
So
they
tell me,
are.
yeah, so tell me about that, like, and how that shows up in people's lives. I'm really curious.
Well, let me, if you don't mind, turn it around and ask
No, no,
you.
no, no, no.
Have
This
you
is my
ever?
show. This is my show. You don't get to do the. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, we're gonna both take a little bit of vulnerability
No,
here.
I'm kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can ask
It's
me
a
anything.
team effort.
Yeah.
So, in your career, have you ever experienced a feeling of a lack of confidence, whether people are are perceiving it or not? Have you ever personally had a moment where you didn't feel as confident as you would like to?
All the time. I probably had one this morning, which is why I have to do a lot of mindset work on my own self, right? And my own limiting
Right.
beliefs and wondering why that's showing up for me. Yeah.
So
You,
how does it show up when you experience a lack of confidence?
it shows up for me like kind of like like almost like this defeated kind of feeling. This like I kind of failed.
Mm,
Or it's funny because you said not being seen. And I'm just thinking, I've been doing a lot of writing a lot of articles recently, submitting a lot of pitches. Okay, and so sometimes I don't hear anything back from these pitches, and I'm just like, like, what's wrong with me? I'm not good enough.
mhm,
Why aren't people
mhm.
noticing me? But I thought I did all these things. I thought I'd proven myself. Why aren't these people getting back to me? So, yeah.
Yeah. So it happens to everyone, right? Like, I think we're all born with confidence. I mean, aside from some traumatic pregnancy and or birth, we're born with confidence. Like we love the attention we get as babies. We expect people to take care of us as babies. And even like you have young kids, like
Yep.
do they like shy away from attention?
Not our attention, but if we're out
Right.
in public, then there's different dynamics. But yeah, not our
Right. But
attention.
like let's say as babies, they wouldn't like shy away from like someone coming into like ooh and all over them in a
Right.
stroller,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
Like we are born with an inherent confidence, and something, some event, some interaction, usually with someone that like is trusted and that we love, or we are expected to have they're expected to keep us safe. At some point, something has happened that made us perceive that we're not enough. We're not good enough. We're not smart enough. We're not pretty enough. We're not strong enough. We're not athletic enough, whatever adjective insert.
Yeah.
And it's like a notch for our confidence, right? It decreases.
Hmm.
And some people might kind of manage that by being like overly assertive or over seemingly overconfident, whereas it's just a mask, right? They're just
Right.
putting a show on to cover up their lack of confidence. Where or others might go the complete opposite, and they might just be shy or like um, dimming their own inner light, if you will.
Hmm.
So lots of different ways it shows up, but yeah, it's like I think every adult at some point in their life has experienced a moment of lack of confidence.
No, yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But it's funny though too because I'm just wondering, like, do you actually hear that from people? Like, Sarah, I'm lacking confidence. Like, help me. Or do you just intuitively see that what they're manifesting, their behaviors, their actions, they may not verbally say, I need confidence to you. But when you go back to some like root cause things, you're like, oh, I see what that is. That's just a lack of confidence. Here you go. Like, this is what you need to
Yeah.
do.
I think it's a little bit of both. Some people definitely come to me and they're like, I have this presentation at work, or I have to do presentations on a regular basis. And I used to be great at it. I used to love public speaking. And
Mm,
all of a sudden, like I have what feels like a panic attack before I have to do this presentation. And I'm like, well, what happened? What's wrong? How do I fix this? How do I get back to
yeah.
where I used to be? But then others, they'll come to me and they'll say, uh, you know, I'm fighting with my spouse a lot and I'm
Ah,
feeling like I can't get my point across and I don't know what's wrong. And then when we go back and look at events from their past, then I can see like, oh, well, you had this experience where and it's not me interpreting necessarily. It's really just listening to the client and letting them guide my questions, and those questions might help that person see the experience or see themselves in a way that they haven't before.
yeah.
And that might lead me to believe or lead them to understand that really what the problem is a lack of confidence.
Gotcha.
So it shows up kind of both ways.
Yep. That's great stuff. Any um any amazing just testimonials from any of your courses? You got three great courses, but is there or just anything that you can just like recollect? Maybe something recently or something. You're just like, wow, like all we did was make this small change, and really, you got all that out of it. Like, I'm always
Mm.
just curious to you hear some great things, and
I mean, I would say the biggest thing that people say like immediately after the session is that they feel a sense of lightness or
Sarah, this
freedom
is
is
the
a
one-on-one
word.
coaching. Sorry to cut you off. This
Oh
is you're talking about
yes.
like one. Okay,
Yes, a one-on-one, which I just get more feedback because it's one-on-one, right?
yeah,
Like people do leave comments and I'll get emails from people that have done the courses, but I just get the most feedback, obviously, because I'm talking to someone
Yeah.
in individually. But yeah, they experience a sense of lightness, or openness is a word that people will use a lot, freedom. Um, and I think the understanding that we really have more uh, control, that's not the right word, because we don't really have control, but we have a choice. We have a say in what our beliefs are.
Right.
And when you can recognize that, it creates this freedom, this like joy in a way,
Yeah.
ease, and less suffering in the way that we move through our day to day and our life.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I say the same thing and just differently. I say, hey, the cool thing about it is whether you believe it or not, you actually always have a choice in how you choose to respond, even though a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times it doesn't feel like it. But when you start to
Mm-hmm.
realize that, it's like, wow, like I'm back in control. I have autonomy over my life again. Whereas a lot of times we think these events or people are pushing us down and oppressing us, and it's like that feels suffocating. That feels like no one wants to be repressed. You're gonna rebel, and so there
Right.
is some lightness when you realize, oh wow, like
Mm,
I actually have control over the situation again. That is a good feeling. That's a good
it
emotion,
is.
I think, as you would say. Emotions, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all strive to have control,
Big
right?
time.
Like some people will need it more than others, and so it shows up in various extremes, like eating disorders, or
Mm,
all different kinds of ways of having control, feeling like we have control over a situation. um, but it doesn't have to be a negative, right? It can definitely be a positive.
yeah,
Like we do have a choice.
yeah. Curious, what are some exciting projects that you're working on right now?
Behind the scenes, I guess, of the business, we've been working on upgrading our membership platform. I would, I don't have anyone in mind yet, but we're kind of going in the direction of bringing on more of a team of experts to help create content for the mindful movement audience. Um, Obviously, I can only be an expert at certain things, but I think that there are lots of different areas of behaviors and of practices that would be beneficial for our audience, where our main focus is increasing inner peace, and helping people understand or empower people to have a part in their own healing.
Yeah,
Right? We don't always have to go to Western medicine, or whatever other modality. Like we do have a role.
mm,
So we're looking for other experts that would be able to help bring those components to the audience, that, or the community that we have at the moment. So that's kind of happening behind the scenes. um, Longer term, I would we're looking at creating a retreat center, but that's kind of like a 5-year plan.
that's great.
um, but yeah, those are my big projects, I guess, at the moment, other than living life.
Other than trying to live life without a pillowcase over our heads, right? Like,
I'm never going to live that one down.
no, 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 no. That was great. No, but it's yeah. I love what you said though. That your mission to create inner peace. Because when you think about that,
Mm,
if if someone, if a client or an individual is living from inner peace, like what the hell
mm,
can you not achieve? Like what can you not do? What task can you not tackle?
right.
So I really love that.
I I have this conversation with my husband a lot, because I think in life there's this like dichotomy, or this balance that you have to strike, of like having this inner peace, but also like we're goal driven, we're results driven in terms of our society. So how do you live peacefully when we're always striving for the next thing. So
Yeah.
this is definitely like a balance that I have struggled to find myself. And like with with a YouTube channel, for example, this was part of the conversation that we were debating this morning,
Oh boy.
actually. So it's all coming
I
out.
love this.
Um, so with a YouTube channel, there are metrics, there are analytics, there are numbers that in some way impress upon the creator if they're doing a good job,
Right.
right? And that is true for like Instagram or Facebook or any other social media. Like there are ways to track
Yeah.
if you're like quote doing a good job.
Yeah.
But in a in a business like I have and like you have, we're trying to serve people, and we're doing it in a way that needs to be authentic. Otherwise, like, what's the point? So we have this debate like, well, how do we know if we're doing a good job? Or like, there's really no measurable outcome
Hmm.
if your goal is to help people. So, how do we go about living life with inner peace
Yeah.
when we're always striving for this next number?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to that question. That's why I keep having this debate, but that's where I am with inner peace.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you're saying, and it's tough. I know as a creator too, it's tough. Like sometimes, and I hate it, right? Like I feel like a sellout because I'll come up with these stupid hooks or catchy
Yeah.
titles, and in my head, I'm like, this is dumb. Like I don't want to name this that. But for me, it's like what you said. I didn't do this like just for me. Like I'm doing this in a long-term way to serve everybody. And so if I can
Hmm.
catch your attention by some ridiculous hook that may not even have to do with, what I'm even going to talk about, but it
Right.
gets you to watch the video, then I won because I got you to
Mm.
watch it, and the video I'm hoping is going to have so much more impact down the line. The other thing you said, I think, just beautifully though too, is I was talking to a client the other day about Simon Sinek, and Simon Sinek, a lot of people
Mm.
know him because of his TEDx talk. He talks about starting with why, but he also has a new book called The Infinite Game. And I really like this idea of, or the concept is that the people that are like really most successful, and the infinite game is just a fancy way of saying the long game. Like I'm playing the
Mm.
long game, not the short game. And so that's what you're doing. Like you might in short term burst be doing like the catchy hooks or whatever to get people to watch your stuff. But at the end of the day, nothing changes. You're playing the infinite game of life. You're playing the game of I'm here to serve and impact people's life and bring mission is
Mm.
inner peace. And so as long as
Yeah.
that's your infinite game mission, you're always going to be successful and win.
Sounds like I need to read that book, or maybe the two of us need to read it together
Yeah,
so we can get on the same page. Yeah.
that's what we're here for, right? Iron sharpens iron. You're making me better, I'm making you better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to jump into some lightning round questions, but before I do, anything that I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
No, this was a really great conversation, and I actually appreciate that we got to have it twice
Yeah. What's
because,
fun? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we went down different avenues, different routes, so it was nice.
Yeah, we did. It's really cool that a lot of the stuff we talked about today was stuff we didn't even talk about last time. So it's
Yeah.
nice. All right, let's jump into some lightning round questions. Let's see if these change for you. So, if maybe they did because you slept on it, you had a couple nights of sleep. So, if the old you could see the new you,
Mm.
what would the new you say?
I think this answer did not change, and it was to worry less. Like everything will be okay, and the worry doesn't necessarily uh, fix whatever the perceived problem is, right? Worry doesn't it doesn't take away our ability to like live life. It makes now uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah,
That that
yeah.
that yeah. Because I worry a lot. I'm a planner. I'm a worrier. That would be my answer still.
Yeah. What are some choices that you think you made that made you who you are today?
I think this is the same answer too. I mentioned the last time we had this conversation, I was a young mom. I had my oldest child at 22, and she was a surprise. And I actually, she's home from college at the moment, and we were chatting about how I think that like she chose me, and she chose the time that she needed to show up in the world. And I think that she was, well, both of my children, I have two kids. They're both like my greatest teachers ever.
Yeah.
And I guess it was just the time that I needed to learn from her was that time. So although it wasn't my choice necessarily, you know, it was in a way. Like I some people would say I was calling her in at that time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's funny. I couldn't agree more. Like you wanna, before I had kids, I was like, man, I was such a self-centered jerk. And so afterwards, I'm like, if you don't have a kid, like you need to get a kid because they will teach you like, you want to talk about reflection of yourself.
yes.
Wow. So your child like accelerated your growth. Look, I didn't have my first kid till I was
Mm.
like 31. So, 10 years later. So you're like 10 years ahead of me, Sarah, in terms of like your growth probably because you were forced to grow a lot faster and accelerate and become more
Yeah.
mindful. I mean, I see that in my own life. Like kids will, yeah,
Yeah.
they don't have to. I mean, it depends what choice you want to go, but they definitely forced me to become more mindful.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think really anyone is prepared to be a parent until they are a parent, but you definitely like you have to be a parent.
Yeah.
And yeah, you learn a lot for sure.
Yeah. I'm curious, you have, again, you know, look at the numbers. I mean, you're having a huge impact on the world. You're definitely a
Mm.
force in the wellness world out there doing some great things. But who inspires you? Who in the health and wellness world is out there that inspires
Mm.
you, that you follow?
Um, that's a good question. I have found that I recently have stopped kind of following people in a way. Like I find myself in comparison a lot. Like um, Gabby Bernstein is another like meditation teacher and spiritual coach, and we don't do the same thing, obviously. But like I used to listen to her podcast or watch her videos, and I would always find myself comparing myself, like, oh, I need to be better, I need to be more like
Uh,
her, and that was a struggle that I had for, I mean, probably forever. And so I've kind of recently chosen to stop following people, to stop like spending time on social media.
yeah,
And that's not to say I'm not learning from people, but when I find that comparison part of me, show itself, I'm like, okay, I need to do a little more inward reflection and learn from myself. um, so that's a workaround for the answer to your question, like a non-answer to your question. So sorry about that.
no, I love that. I've had, I think, one other person say, I don't follow anybody. And it
Mm.
was really similar to your answer. Like, it wasn't an egotistical thing. It was just like, no, like, I want to just be me kind of thing. That was
Yeah,
and I get
and
that. Yeah.
it's hard in a world of social media and like infinite amount of information at your fingertips. It's hard not to compare yourself. And because I know that that's a struggle for me, I try to um, stay away from that
Yeah.
personally.
That's great. I'm a big book reader. Any books that you would recommend that just had like a ton of impact on your life? Is there like one to three that just stand out?
Well, I mentioned the emotional chaos to clarity, so that is definitely one that kind of started me on this path. Um, Again, since this is our second time having this conversation, I was thinking about this question in particular because I also
Good.
love to read. And there was one recently, probably 2 years ago, I read. It's it's all about like understanding your mind and mindset and the it's like the science and the research behind it. Actually, there's two of them that I would say that are have had a similar impact. You Are the Placebo by
Ooh,
Joe Dispenza. Excellent. And like if you are on the fence about believing in hypnosis, that would be something that may serve your analytical mind to help that process of being a believer and understanding how it works.
yeah.
That's one. And then another one that's more about kind of the journey or the history and understanding of the science of meditation is called Altered Traits.
Hmm.
I can't remember the author. There's two authors. I can't remember them off the top of my
Yeah,
head, but
I'll look it up and I'll
Altered
put it in the
Traits.
show notes.
Yeah, those
That's
those are
great.
probably three books that I think um, have influenced me greatly
Love that.
in my career. Yeah, and
Yeah.
in life.
Any any rituals, hacks, practices that you do like on a
Mm.
regular basis?
Uh, I find exercise as a form of like Mm, well, yes, it's moving my body. It's helping me to feel good and be strong and longevity and all of those benefits. But for me, it's also a a form of self-discipline in a
Mm,
way that sends the message that like I'm worth the time that I spend exercising. And when I find myself like choosing something else over my movement practice, I know that that's a time where I need to like look inward and say, okay, like it's almost like you're taking care of your inner child, and that 10-year-old with
yeah.
the pillowcase over her head is like, okay, I see you, I care about you, you're important, let's go work out.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's one. And really I love spending time outside.
Mm,
When I start to feel like I'm spending too much time in front of the computer, I'm working too much, I'm getting like anxious or ungrounded, that's when I know I need to go outside. And even if it's like just getting some fresh air to 5 minutes, going for a walk. I have chickens that I raise for eggs, and they're like, my kids are older now, so it's like my way of being able to take care of something. And
yeah.
so I'll go outside and like hang out with the chickens for a little while, and
That's
sounds
great.
silly, but
No, I love that. And we were talking
those
about
are
this
my
last time
rituals.
that, especially being coaches and stuff, and we're doing a lot of virtual coaching. Like, yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
these lights and, yeah, I mean, just going outside,
Hmm.
moving the body, getting that vitamin D,
Yeah.
getting the sun on your eyes, moving the lymph, getting the natural, like,
Yeah.
phytonutrients from the trees and stuff. Like, it's so good. Grounding, I know you guys talk about that. I
Mm.
mean, yeah, so I love that. That's a great one.
Yeah, really some simple things. They don't cost anything. They're super simple. And for me, they make a really big impact, really big difference in my like state of mind, my well-being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two more questions and we'll wrap it up. I want you to finish this sentence. 2020 or the pandemic that continues to go
Mm,
on and on for some reason. The
yeah.
pandemic, tell me, was the greatest gift because dot dot dot.
Mm. It really gave me an opportunity to mm, not analyze, that's not the right word, like to consider like how I'm spending my time
Hmm.
and how do I want to spend my time in comparison to how I actually am spending my time.
Yeah,
It gave me an opportunity to say, I'm working too much. I'm not spending enough time with my family because, you know,
yeah,
I say all the time, like family is my number one priority. But if my actions don't match with my words, then I don't truly, I feel like I don't actually believe, or I don't like, I want my actions to align with my words and my beliefs and my values. And so having some downtime uh, gave me an opportunity to really assess, that's the word I was looking for, assess how I'm living my life. So I was able to, spend more time with my kids. We, my daughter didn't have the senior year of high school that I think she really wanted, but
Yeah.
we got to spend a lot of time with her, and that was really nice. Now she's, off in school. And so we had that year before she left for college to really like be with her and enjoy her for who she is. And so that was really beautiful. And my son he decided to homeschool. And so, like I get to take him to the skate park on a Tuesday morning, and
Yeah.
I can work in my car, and he gets to do what he loves. And so, yeah, those are all wonderful blessings.
I've heard that a lot from actually parents and the kids in their senior year in school this year. So
Mm,
it's been neat, and yeah, our kids are homeschooled now, and it's been a blessing in so many ways. So
yeah.
yeah,
I imagine some of the younger, like parents with younger kids, like my brother has three kids that are 5 and under, and like I know that that was really hard for them to have three kids under 5 being home, but they were able to work from home and be with them. And but sometimes sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Last but not least, Sarah Raymond, where can people find you?
Well, they can find me on YouTube. You can search the
Yeah,
mindful
yeah, they
movement.
can.
That's an easy way. We've got all of our practices are on YouTube, or the mindfulmovement.com is kind of a hub for all of our content. Any articles, if you have any interest in kind of, some people like to read, so reading articles is there. Courses, all of our YouTube content also lives on our website. So that's kind of the place to go, themindfulmovement.com.
Awesome, Sarah Raymond. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Joel.